Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about an unbelievable development. If anybody had predicted this to me, I would have said I honestly should say that I would not have predicted it. I was a bit surprised by what happened, but on hindsight, there's nothing to be surprised. We should have anticipated that this was coming. Uh, Basically, I'm talking about the Israeli attacks on Qatar. Israel is targeting Hamas leadership, a leadership that was in the process of negotiating with the Qataris about the peace proposal that Donald Trump had made. So, in order to prevent a ceasefire, in order to prevent Donald Trump's proposal to be even considered by Hamas, Israel targeted Hamas leadership just at the same time. I don't know whether the American government is smart enough to put two and two together and realize that this is what will happen every time if you share intelligence with Israel and if you pack your administration with pro-Israeli people. The US ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, is more pro-Israel than he is pro-America. And the same with Marco Rubio and others. So I won't be surprised if Israel continues to get intelligence and advice, even from American officials, on how to undermine US national interests when it comes to the Middle East and advance Israeli national interests at the expense of the US interests. Trump badly wants a ceasefire in Gaza. He had sent a proposal. This was a proposal from the Trump administration. Qataris were presenting this proposal to Hamas, and they were having this meeting. That's exactly when Israel attacked. And how does Israel attack? It does not tell the United States that it is attacking. It's only when the missiles have already left the planes. Israel used 15 jet fighters to attack Qatar. And after the missiles had left the planes, the Trump administration basically learned about it and informed the Qataris. Trump tried to basically tell a lie by saying that he warned the Qataris as soon as he heard from the Israelis that they had attacked. The official version from the United States is that US military spotted Israeli jets flying, which, by the way, the Qatari air defense system did not spot. I mean, why do these Arab countries and the stupid countries spend billions of dollars in buying weapons when they are not useful at all? Why didn't Qatari defenses, I don't know how many billions of dollars they spend on defense. Why didn't they shoot at planes which were bombing their country? I simply find this quite useless. So if they're not going to fight, then why waste money, billions of dollars, on those stupid weapons, which I guess are parked somewhere in Qatar? Anyway, so the US military spots the Israeli jets, lets the US government know. Trump is shocked, surprised, because he didn't know. And so he calls the Qataris and warns them. And the Qataris, the Prime Minister of Qatar, the Foreign Minister of Qatar, made it very clear that the Trump administration warning came 10 minutes after the attacks had already been launched. So this is where we are in terms of facts. Now, the Trump administration is clearly ticked off because the Israelis did something which undermined the US interest, undermine Donald Trump's pursuit of the Nobel Prize. He wants to bring about peace, and every effort that he's making to bring about peace is either undermined by Netanyahu or by Putin. And as far as Donald Trump is concerned, it's also undermined by Prime Minister Modi of India, who continues to buy Russian oil and shores up the Russian economy. Thereby, Russia can continue to fight with Ukraine as far as the US is concerned. But Trump, I mean, the diplomacy that they have conducted is amazing. He's been so careful. He wants to distance himself from the Israeli attack. He wants to have no responsibility or blame for what Netanyahu does. But the Trump administration also does not want to condemn Israel because they've been taking so much of money from the Israeli lobby here. For example, from Mrs. Adelson, the wife, the widow of the casino mogul, Sheldon Adelson. Trump took over $100 million, and there are other pro-Israeli billionaires who are giving him money. Not only that, there are pro-Israeli billionaires in his administration. like Steve Witkoff, for example. So the Trump administration wants to distance itself from the attacks, but also wants to not condemn Israel. They are furious, it seems. Reports in Washington Post and other media and newspaper clearly shows that they are completely upset and very, very irritated because, look, if you kill the Hamas leadership, which sits in Qatar, and there is no communication with the Hamas fighters in Gaza, how can you negotiate and then implement a ceasefire? That is a practical, logistical question. It's a different thing that the Hamas claims that most of the leadership escaped the attack, and 5 low-level Hamas officials, or whatever you want to call them, people were killed, and 1 security personnel from the Qatari ministry. So the Israelis have actually murdered an innocent Qatari in this attack. They have violated the sovereignty of Qatar. For countries, violation of their sovereignty is like being raped. And this is not the first time that Israel has bombed Qataris. I think in November 2023, the Israelis bombed the Qatari mission in Gaza. And the Israelis have targeted and killed many of Al Jazeera's reporters in the past few years. So Qatar has been on the receiving end of Israeli violence for several years. But these countries are so clueless, so helpless. First thing that I don't understand is, why is their intelligence so poor? Even the United States has had an intelligence failure. How come the US did not know that Israel was planning this rubbish? Because none of the people in the cabinet or the defense whatever establishment that Netanyahu planned this with and executed, none of them leaked it to the US. And even if they leaked it, there are enough people in the US administration who are more pro-Israel than US, so they would probably not let those people know who would stop this. I will bet that if Mike Huckabee knew of this attack, he would have said, oh, Trump might stop this, so I will not let Trump know. Thus, the Trump administration, all these people called Laura Loomer and others outside on the MAGA, who keep vetting people for their loyalty to Trump, will they investigate as to how come the Trump administration did not know that the Israelis were going to attack a US ally? So that's on the US side of it. On the Arab side of it, I don't know whether to laugh or to cry. I find it very, very amusing. The Qataris have been acting as servants and butler of the United States for the past few years. They host a US military base with more than 10,000 American soldiers there. Qatar is a US ally. Qatar has an agreement, a defense agreement with the United States, which goes back to the 1990s. They just promised to invest $1.2 trillion in the United States, the Qataris. They gave Donald Trump a $490 or $450 million jet to use as an Air Force One. All this money that they gave to Donald Trump, and all the money they're giving to the US and investing heavily in the US and carrying water for the US in foreign policy. Look, a lot of people attack Qatar for 2 reasons: for supporting Hamas in Gaza by giving them millions of dollars to maintain Gaza, and the other is to allow them to have their offices in Doha. Not many of you will probably know, but both of them are done at the request of the US. It's the US that has asked the Qataris to host Hamas so that you can have a negotiating partner there. And it is the Israelis who have allowed Qatar to invest all the money or provide all the money. Without Netanyahu's cooperation and collaboration, Qatar cannot send money into Gaza to build whatever they did over the past few years. So the Qataris have been doing what America and Israel have allowed them to do and often wanted them to do. So they are basically like servants who are providing their own money. Even with the US base in Qatar, the Qataris have subsidized the US forward command for the Central Command's forward deployment of 10,000 troops and so forth. The US has a massive military base right in the heart of the Middle East, And the Qataris have subsidized it with $8 billion of investments into the US defense system there. What is the goal of that? Just sucking up to the United States for what? Because they want security. And they are not getting it. In the past 3 months, from June, July, August, from mid-June till now, Qatar has been attacked by Iran as well as by the Israelis. So friends and foes, I don't know who is the friend and who is the foe here, but nevertheless, friends and foes both have attacked Qatar. When the United States bombed the nuclear plant in Iran, Iranians responded by targeting the US base in Qatar. And now the Israelis have attacked a target, a civilian infrastructure inside Doha. What was the US defense system doing there? You have foreign jets coming to attack. What if it were Iranian jets which were targeting somebody inside Qatar? Would the military base there in Qatar, the US military base, would they have prevented that attack? Or what are they there for? Just to protect Israel from Iran? Is that the purpose of the US base in Qatar? Is it not there to defend the Arab countries who suck up, who join the Abrahamic Accords, who do whatever the US and Israel want in the region? If that is not there, then what is Qatar investing trillions of dollars? Literally, it has promised to invest $1.2 trillion in the United States. It has already invested a lot of money. So for the Qataris, this is a complete failure. They are not safe. They are trying to become leaders. They're trying to bat far above their weight class, and they are in deep trouble. For Donald Trump, this is also must be very frustrating, and I think all the anguish he's suffering, he deserves it. He has refused to hold back Netanyahu. He has refused to criticize Israel. He's continued to carry water for Israel to the extent of even preventing Palestinians president to come to the UN for the UN General Assembly meeting. It is quite possible they're moving that part to Geneva. So the United States is facing diplomatic humiliation because of Israel. It is because of Israel that the United Nations cannot, the US cannot join places like the ICC, etc., and protect international law in the way it should be doing, because Israel is the one which is constantly violating. Israel, in the past few months, has attacked 7 countries in the Middle East, 6 of them Arabs and Iran. So Iran is attacked. You can see Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, Palestine, Yemen, and now Qatar. This is a violation of international laws, in violation of the UN Charter, violation of all norms and principles that there are, but there is absolutely no accountability. And let me tell you that for those people who think that Israel can do this because Israel is a powerful country are mistaken. Israel could not even fight the Houthis on its own. It was the UK and the US which were defending Israel when the Houthis were attacking them. Israel could not attack Iran on its own without support and refueling by British and US planes. The first time Iran attacked Israel, you had not only UK and the US, but you also had Jordan and Saudi Arabia defending Israel. So there is a whole coalition of countries that have been supporting Israel. The weapons supply that has come from the US, from Canada, from Great Britain, from Germany. These are the 1, 2, 3, 4 countries which provide the most weapons: Britain, Germany, Canada, and the US to Israel. Even if the countries officially announced that, like Canada, that they're not going to send weapons, Canada transferred those weapons to the US, and then the US gave those weapons. Since day one, since October 8th, the US has been giving billions of dollars to Israel, unlimited supply of weapons. I'm sure if you give billions of dollars to Nepal and give Nepal unlimited supply of weapons, and all the major Western countries give it weapon, I'm sure Nepal will dominate South Asia. So Israel's aggression, Israel's violation of international norms, Israel's continued genocide in Gaza, all of this is blessed and sponsored and funded and defended by these Western countries. even as they say that especially the Europeans are far more hypocritical than the US. The US is at least openly, completely one-sided, but the Europeans try to pretend to be, kind of balanced, but they also continue to provide secretly weapons and other stuff uh, to go ahead and support Israel. So we will see what happens in the Middle East. So there are some big questions which are going to be raised. Will Qatar continue to remain America's butler in the region? Will they continue to polish Donald Trump's boots? Will they continue to do whatever Israel needs in terms of negotiations with Hamas, etc.? See, groups like one of the big mistakes that Qataris have made is they have continued to support useless groups like the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas. These groups have done nothing positive at all. Absolutely. I see zero benefit from groups like Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood to the Arab world or to anybody. And the Qataris have allowed them to sustain by giving, refuge to Muslim Brotherhood in Qatar and now to Hamas. Hamas has nothing to offer. Even now, they're holding up the hostages. I don't know what the strategic goal is. If someone asks me, why do you think, I don't know, to get more Gazans killed? The answer is, okay, even if they return the hostages, the Israelis will continue to kill. Probably. But holding on to hostages is not achieving anything at all. So why does Qatar support these groups? I simply don't understand. Unless it is at the behest of the US, which is clearly understood that the US and Israel need a group like Hamas to keep the Palestinians divided and to justify this kind of violence. To justify, why isn't Donald Trump upset in taking some action against Israel, because Israel directly undermined US's efforts to bring about ceasefire in Gaza. I mean, they were discussing the US proposal, as I said, when the Israelis attacked. And for those of you who have great hopes from RIC and BRICS, etc., there is nothing coming from there. I just saw the statement from the Indian government. Oh, they are deeply concerned. I'm sure they were deeply concerned when Bumrah was injured. They're deeply concerned that their ally with whom they just signed a contract a day before with a war criminal, Smotrich, the Israeli foreign minister, cannot travel in Europe. He will get arrested for war crimes. And he comes to India, and Indians are happy to sign a deal with him. And they have done that to suck up to the US. And so you see some sympathetic statements coming from Donald Trump as soon as India sucks up to Israel. So yeah, okay, Modi doesn't want to suck up to Trump directly, but he's sucking up to Trump's proxy, the Israelis there. So far, there's no responses. The Saudis and all of these, Al Jazeera has a whole page of all the international condemnations of Israel, but no action. So we will see what happens going forward. The takeaways are that the US has no intelligence gathering capacity inside Israel, which must be troubling. And then I would also think that if you pack your administration with so many pro-Israeli voices who basically don't seem to understand that which country they really work for, then I think you're going to have trouble. Even if these people had the intelligence and knowledge about what Israel was going to do, they probably didn't tell their bosses or didn't tell Trump because they thought Trump might stop it. On the other hand, there was a tweet that Trump made on Sunday warning Hamas, and some people feel that Trump knew that this was coming. So we don't know that. We cannot confirm that. So let's go forward, and then I will read your comments and I will take your questions and see what's happening, if there are any interesting observations. There are too much of traffic going on, so as I said, I'm just going to prioritize the super chats and Chris and members. Hi Hitesh, namaste to you. Christopher Moses, welcome. Hello to you too. Do you think a world war can happen in the next 2 years? No, world wars happen when great powers go to war. When great powers beat up small countries. Look, there are only 2 wars going on. Russia is beating up Ukraine. It's a small country. It is surviving because it's like how the US had provided weapons to Afghanistan and they fought the Soviet Union for many years. It is a similar thing that is going on. And then Gaza is not even a country. And the entire West is mass murdering Gaza. It's not a war, it's a genocide that is taking place. You're killing helpless women and children. And nobody, the world has become quite shameless that they will not stand up even against a genocide. So, for example, today when India issued its statement of concern, they could have said the famous words from Prime Minister Modi, this is not an era of war. They never said that. India is such a hypocritical country. So the world is full of hypocritical countries, and so they talk a lot about morality, etc. That not wars can happen only if Russia and say the Europeans get into a fight, and then America will go to once again rescue and save its European allies. Then you will have a war, or if China attacks Taiwan, and then US decides to go and defend Taiwan. I'm not very sure. If I was Taiwanese, I would not take. You are not white, Taiwan. You're not white, you're not Christian, you're not Jewish, and you don't have a very powerful lobby inside the United States which can make the president of the United States dance. And so I would not do anything stupid to provoke China if I was Taiwan, relying on the United States. So, so I don't think that there will be a world war. Will there be chaos? Yes. Will there be lots and lots of small violence here and there? Yes. Will be like India just had a war. It lasted 4 days. Not many people died on either side, maybe 100 total, but it was a war. So those kind of things will happen a lot more now because the United States has abdicated its role as the maintainer of the global order. In fact, the United States is now the biggest disruptor of the global order. So I think that the chances of world war is not there. Oh, some people ask brilliant questions. Hamas leadership was negotiating with Qatar the proposal that the United States had sent for ceasefire in Gaza. MG's channel, if you simply Google that, you will get it. Okay. Uh, Ridhima, I will take a look at it. Thank you very much. I will go read that comment. No, don't send any money to Gaza from any local NGO because they are not able to send money. Even the UN is not able to send money in the US. If you want to help people of Gaza, just keep the awareness going. Right now, nobody is able to take money into Gaza, especially aid organizations. They are unable to do that. Uh, Devang Patel is having fun at the expense of the US. Yeah, Henry Kissinger did say that while America's uh, friendship is more dangerous than America's enmity. That is true, Anurag. Giving the Arabs will never learn. They are so stupid. I'm so sorry to say that the entire Gulf countries are the stupidest countries. They don't want to fight. They just want to enjoy the money that they are getting out of nothing. The oil is pouring out of the country. They just want to enjoy life. So they want to outsource their security. They want to outsource the management of their country. Everything is done by outsiders. They just want to sit there and do whatever, nothing. So those kind of countries, there's a lack of vitality in their nationality. Look at them. They bought so many weapons, the Qataris, in the past few years with all the billions of dollars of money they have. And they don't have an air defense system, especially after the Iranians attacked them. Well, the Iranians warned them in advance, and the attack was just a showcase. But still, why wouldn't you have a good missile defense system? I just don't understand this at all. Yes, Himanshu, I'm going to talk about the Nepal situation. I'll do it in another half an hour. I'm going to talk about what's happening in Nepal. A lot of questions about Nepal. As soon as I finish this, and I'll have one more cup of tea, and then it is 11:55 in the US. I will stop at 5, so around 12:15, 12:20 my time, and up close to 9:45 India time, I will be talking about Nepal. It was another major surprising development. Oh, oh, there are some weird people here. I'm going to ban this user. Oh, we have a member here, Ismail. Thank you very much. Ismail is a very old and supporting member of Conversations. So let's see what his question is. Is there anything Israel can do after which KSA, UA, and all do not recognize Israel? These are, oh, so there are a lot of you. Saudi Arabia does not recognize Israel, and neither does Qatar. And both Saudi Arabia and Qatar are not part of the Abrahamic Accords. They have said that they will not recognize Israel officially, nor will they exchange ambassadors, nor will they join the Abrahamic Accords until the Palestinian state has been created. So, at least on that issue, you can say the Qataris and the Saudis have maintained their position. United Arab Emirates did issue a warning a few days ago about how, I mean, their warnings are so vague and obligatory. They said that, well, if they continue with the genocide and if they basically annex West Bank, then it'll be very difficult for integration, etc., regional integration. So that's what they use the word, rather than say that it'll end the Abrahamic Accords, they said it will undermine regional integration. So basically, they're not willing to leave the Abrahamic Accords. And we never hear anything from Morocco. For Morocco, it was a very transactional issue. Morocco's sovereignty on Western Sahara was recognized by the United States, and so they signed the Abrahamic Accords. The Bahrainis, I don't know. The Sudanese, they are out. So now there are only 3 countries which are part of the Abrahamic Accords, which is Bahrain, UAE, and Morocco. And Morocco is just has no relevance in international affairs. And so the UAE is the only country that matters, and they have been issuing warning. In fact, I did a show on the UAE, and they say that the Israel was about to recognize, annex West Bank or announce an annexation of a large chunk of the West Bank, and they pull back because of the warning that UAE has given. UAE called the attack on Qatar treacherous, I think, treacherous. But there are going to be no consequences to Israel at all. I can tell you this much, absolutely nothing. So the Arabs are not going to be able to do anything at all. You know, I'm sorry to say. Yeah, Rafi, that is exactly. They deserve it. They deserve it. They deserve it. Uh, work. Qatar retaliate. How can Qatar retaliate? The Qataris have retaliated by saying that they will not continue with the negotiations. So now the Americans don't have a bridge to Hamas. So how is Steve Witkoff going to negotiate a ceasefire with Hamas? Because they don't talk to terrorists, right? Until they talk to terrorists. They said the same thing about the Taliban. Qataris helped them there. The agreement between Afghanistan and the previous Trump administration actually took place in Doha, Qatar. I mean, this is America has betrayed its trust for an ally. So, what's the point of being an ally of the United States if it will not protect you when you need it most? This is the reason why the Arabs ran away towards Israel, became part of Abrahamic Accords to get US support. Look what conditions MBS had posed before all of this happened. MBS said that Saudi Arabia would join the Abrahamic Accords only if the US gave security guarantees to Saudi Arabia like NATO guarantees. So they are not joining Abrahamic Accords because they want to join Israel. Nobody likes Israel. It's a terrorist state. It's a horrible country. People are hateful. They kill and murder children for land. They are religious fanatics. This whole agenda of annexing West Bank is they are nothing but like the Taliban, crazy religious people trying to fulfill a religious mandate. They're just sophisticated. They are powerful. They are rich, and they have the support of the most powerful country in the world, and so they get away with terrorism. That's what Israel is, and that's what Israel is doing. So, the Saudis dream that they will also be able to enjoy that kind of support from the U.S. But uh, and that's what they were asking in exchange for the Abrahamic Accords. So nobody wants to be friends with Israel. They are becoming friends with Israel because they're hoping to get American support. And well, I hope that explains and answers your question. And this is an interesting question. There was a tweet by Trump saying that the negotiations are going forward. I think one reason could be that they signed a deal with Israel. Yesterday, Sitaraman, India's finance minister, signed a deal with Israel. So the Israel lobby is putting a lot of pressure on Donald Trump to say nice things to India. So he's saying it. He is not America first, remember? Even America first means Israel first with this administration. So that's one reason. The other thing is that it is quite possible that India has come up with some concessions. We will see when the deal gets announced. He said in a few weeks, again, the same thing. Why is it taking few weeks? So we will look at what is offered. And even if India gives an inch, Trump will brag about it. So we will know. But I can tell you this much. Without further concessions from India, you are not going to get a deal from the US. That much is clear. So all those people in India who think this is a U-turn and all of that is rubbish. Trump is not going to sign a deal with India without India giving more concessions than it had already done at the time when he went crazy on India. Oh, thank you, Dark. Dark Matter says that they have the Patriot system. Where was the Patriot system? Maybe the Israelis control it. Mr. Bharat, if India's Subhash Chandra Bose was alive today, he would also have been labeled terrorist by the British and the Americans. So keep that in mind. Okay? All freedom fighters, even Nelson Mandela was labeled as a terrorist by the United States and the Western countries, and they supported the apartheid regime of South Africa for many, many decades. Gilani Sabun, we'll see. I think that there are negotiations, like I've been telling in my show, that there are still negotiations going on between the US and the Indian trade representatives. And unless there has been some development which have not been revealed to the public, Donald Trump is sort of giving a preview saying that, okay, we are on the verge of a deal and we will hear about it. Like if you remember a few days ago, Donald Trump said that India has reduced tariffs to nothing, but it is too late now. So that was his way of putting pressure on India, saying, I need more. So I think India has reduced tariffs to zero on some items. And Trump is not happy with that. He wants more. And so maybe India did suggest something more. So he's saying, okay, we are closer to the deal now. All right. Siddharth Sehgal joined as a new member. Thank you very much, Siddharth, for becoming a member. Guys, do try and become a member. I have very frequent, at least once in 4 to 5 weeks, I have Zoom meetings with members. I take their advice, take their suggestions, and we talk. We get to know them. There are some of them are such brilliant people and interesting people from all over the world, and you'll make new friends in that. So please go ahead and try and become Siddharth Sehgal. Welcome to Conversations. And he is also a generous soul. So thank you very much. Our thoughts are with those suffering in Palestine. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. Like for the last 14 months, they have been suffering hunger, starvation, being pushed out of the city here to there, to here to there. It's unbelievable. It's such a shame that in this world we are not able to do anything, just unable to do anything. Uh, you know, I was so sick of the Muslim world unable to defend Gaza that for the last 1 year I had stopped. I give Friday khutbas and sermons. I was not participating in the public religious life. I did do last Friday because it was a 1,500th birthday of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But it is absolutely disgusting that it is happening in this age. And the West, with all this talk of enlightenment and liberalism and democracy, I spent 20 years of my life promoting democracy. And today I see genocide being committed by democracies. And it's not just Israel, it's the US, the Canadians, the Germans, and the British. These are the biggest suppliers of weapons to Israel. These are the biggest financiers of the genocide. And these are supposedly democracies. I think it's a curse to live in such democracies. So, all right, guys, thank you for watching. In another 15, 20 minutes, I will come back again and I will talk about Nepal. Some massive developments have taken place in Nepal and the worthy of our attention. Thank you very much for watching. If you've not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this with your socio-political network. Siddharth Sehgal, welcome to Conversations. Moses and Ismail, thanks for joining.